So James Missed Opportunity is the name of this one. So James is a seasoned marketing executive with over 15 years of experience and receives a job offer for a senior level position at a prestigious advertising agency. The offer includes a base salary of $150,000 per year, along with comprehensive benefits and a performance-based bonus structure. So sounds pretty good, right? Pretty exciting. So he's excited about this opportunity to join this renowned agency. So he accepts the job offer without negotiating a salary. Thinks this sounds awesome. That's wonderful. He believes the offer is already generous and doesn't want to jeopardize the opportunity by pushing for more, doesn't want to come off rude. However, as he begins networking with industry peers and researching market trends, James realizes that he may have overlooked a crucial aspect of the negotiation process, where he actually was a little incorrect on the number. So I'm curious. He's now discovered, oops, I should have negotiated. The salary is actually lower than what I should be making. What do you think he should do next? At this point, he has already accepted the offer. And I will say it's always a little harder once you've already accepted the offer, because that little negotiation period has unfortunately ended. So any thoughts about what James should do next? I'll give it a minute because I know it can take a second to type. Ooh, okay. Ask for, or oh yeah, not sure what he could do now. I know it's kind of a rock and a hard place, right? It seems like what else is there to do? So here is what happened, just so you know. Or actually, before kind of ruined it. Hold on. So he realizes this. So in terms of options, I think it's helpful to get as much information as possible to figure out, okay, like this is what my industry peers are saying. This is what the market trends are saying. So unfortunately, he's already accepted the offer. So at this point, what it would be most appropriate is for him to communicate with his manager and say, hey, like I've been doing some research and I know my performance review is coming up in 6 months, and I would just love to discuss just ensuring that my salary is more so at the standard market rate. Or he could wait a couple months down the line, but it's really that performance review time that he would then actually be able to renegotiate a salary. At this point, the window is kind of closed, so there's not a chance to go like, hey, can we actually raise it up a little bit? It's already happened. So that would be the next opportunity. So here is what he did. So additionally, so he's settling into his new role. Unfortunately, then he discovers that several of his peers at other agencies negotiated significantly higher starting salaries for similar senior level positions. So not only did he learn the research, but it's his own peers at the same level negotiated way higher. And despite his extensive experience and impressive track record, James can't help but feel a pang of regret that he didn't negotiate his compensation package more aggressively, realizing like it sounded good, but like I didn't really get what I'm necessarily worth based in this market. So, what could James have done differently? How could he have avoided this?
It's nothing here. I don't know. They don't respond a lot.
Deborah, did you have something to mention? Oh, okay. Daniela meant, Ron said more upfront research. Daniela said research with colleagues during his interviews. Exactly. The moral of the story is you better do your research before it comes time for the offer, before it comes time to negotiate, because at that point you're kind of like you need the information. Always take a few days before you accept, exactly, Barbara, and find out from the company what they were going to pay. Exactly. That one is, I think you can eventually ask about that range, but it is a little time sensitive at the beginning. You kind of need to establish yourself before you're like, so what was the range that you were willing to give? Plus, if they ever hire someone at his level again at the company, there's a good chance that he'll see what the range is and be involved in the hiring process. But he should have done the research in advance. And at this point, all he can do now is wait for the performance review. So the takeaways is that he needs to be a better advocate for himself. So one, like we said, he should have researched the industry standards to better gauge the market value. It's not like he's going to be in poverty or anything. Like he's going to do great with his salary, but he could have been making more. And so he should have been asking for more. So he should have also had assertiveness and confidence. So negotiating salary is a standard practice, even amongst senior executives. So he should have approached the negotiation with confidence and highlighted his unique skills. I know he thought this seems like a good offer. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm just going to accept. But negotiating salary is standard in every single job, every single level. Like we said, certain industries, they just don't have as much wiggle room, but you can still ask. You can always still ask, try to negotiate that. And he should have done that and highlighted his unique skills. And then timing. So James should have waited until he received a formal job offer before negotiating salary. And then once the offer was extended, he would have had more leverage to negotiate from a position of strength. So he just heard like, hey, we're going to offer this to you. He didn't have any paperwork in hand. And he said, yes, I would love this job. And just like Barbara said, always take a couple days before you actually respond to it. And that gives you the wiggle room. That gives you some time to say, hey, all my friends are making this. I should have been asking for more. So unfortunately, he just kind of jumped the gun a little bit and decided, I'm going to accept before a formal job offer. So lesson learned, don't do that. And then lastly, long-term perspective. So there is an element here where when you're thinking about the long-term growth and how much room you have financially to grow, if you're starting at a lower salary, you're always going to be at that lower end of the range each time as you're moving up positions. It's awkward to say, hey, we're going to move you from 150 to 220. Like that simply doesn't happen. It's going to be smaller chunks to get there. So if he had negotiated in advance, then he could have also considered, okay, well, this will set me up in a position for this range for the next one. It would give him more leverage if he left the company to go elsewhere and say, this is what I'm currently making. Plus, that could, in general, help his career trajectory. So, although, like he said, it's not the absolute worst thing that could ever happen to someone, he did miss out on more money. So, and I see Kenneth mentioned how much negotiation can you do with government and nonprofit job offers? Those I would just be very transparent at the beginning and say, listen, I realize that the government has certain brackets that you would be in and that nonprofits, you only have so much. So you can really be honest with either the hiring manager or the HR person and say, listen, like I want to be realistic about this. What is the salary range? And I would still say, like, is there room for negotiation either at the beginning or at the end? I would say, like, still ask 5 to 10 more, but I wouldn't ask more than 10,000 more than what they're making. Like I said, the worst they can say is no. When I've negotiated in the past, I was offered, honestly, it was insanely low. It was my first job in DC. I had finished grad school, I had a master's degree. And for this job, I was offered 45,000 a year for the position. And I was like, excuse me, that is simply not livable. So I asked for more money and I was given like 2,500 more. So it was not a lot. I still wanted more than that, but I asked and I got a little bit more. So unfortunately, the salaries can be low, but they do try to accommodate you. They do try to make it work a little bit because there is some range. But like I said, no more than 10 for nonprofit governments. Like it's just a little too sensitive there. And then Daniela mentioned she took a job offer once before and without negotiating because she had been out of work for a while and was nervous to lose the offer. It was setting her back a few years in her earnings, but thankfully within 6 months, they raised her salary without her asking. See, dream situation right there, Daniela. Especially, it's just kind of like what the one recruiter said. If you don't have a job, you got to be humble about it. Like you can't be asking for $1 trillion. So that one, you probably felt like, oh, I kind of wish I did negotiate, but it did work out. So I think if this kind of lesson learned too, like James, if you end up in a role where either you under negotiate or you just choose not to, really showing that your performance is incredible, you are the best hire, you're going above and beyond, naturally they will consider a higher salary for you. And that's both at the performance review, whether you ask for it or not, but really showing that you're an incredible employee and showing that work and skill, it will lead to more money, just not immediately, probably like at the 6-month point. So just some important takeaways there.